everybody, it's Avelino JB and I'm back with another video. And in this video today, as you can tell from the title, we are discussing my top 20 albums of 2021. Now last year when I did this, my top 20 albums of 2020, I put them in a numerical order. And that was a lot of pressure. I don't really want to put them in a numerical order this year. I just want to put them into a list of 20. But there is no numerical, significance to it. What I say first isn't necessarily the most important. What I say last isn't necessarily the least important. So just putting that out there to this time, I'm going to not do a kind of numerical significance thing. And I'm just going to say this is my list of 20 albums that I really enjoyed this year. So these are the top 20 for me. And that's how we're going to leave it really. So one of the albums that made my top 20 of 2021 is Bo Jackson, the album by Boldy James and The Alchemist. I love this album. It gave me some of my favorite tracks of the year. Love that this album is just that underground grisly hip hop that is uneasy and unsettling. The Alchemist is very great at giving production this way, and Boldy James, who has worked with him before, has shown his skill and his efforts when it comes to rapping over the Alchemist beats. He does it here again, but he does it even more smoothly, even more effortlessly than the last time. You can really tell this partnership has blossomed and evolved into, a really long-term thing. You can see them probably working together even more in the future because of how well they worked together here in the previous album. So I really do love Bo Jackson because of the symmetry there seems to be between producer and artist, because of how cohesive it is, and because of how grisly it is.
Cause everything been up to date. He doing fill-ups, hell bust, so shit I just filled up the tank. On the east from trapping her. I just made a junkie.
Another song in my top 20 of 2021 is An Evening with Silk Sonic. An Evening with Silk Sonic is a mesmerizing album that takes you to another time, another era. Love how it projected an old era, a funkadelic era, into the popular culture of today. It did it so smoothly, so effortlessly, and Hermes, Paak and Bruno Mars are two artists on the same kind of wavelength. They give off the same energy. So them collaborating together was very effortless and very seamless. It seemed so natural to them to just collab and make such an album, such a concept album. It's really good, soulful, funky music that will get you happy dancing in your living room. There's nothing really that you can dispute about it or comment negatively about it. It's just that good, happy music. Not all of it is happy. There are some pulling on your heartstrings kind of moments in the album, but all in all, in its entirety, there is a genuine positivity to it, which is refreshing and was refreshing to have in 2021. Another album in my top 20 of 2021 is Planet Her by Doja Cat. Now, this is an amazing, slightly funky pop album. Doja Cat is quirky in her lyricism, quirky in the personas that she takes on when she performs and makes music. And I feel like in Planet Her, the personas that she encapsulated were very refreshing, very different. And it's like, even though Hot Pink was such a quirky album as well, she was able to do quirky but in a different way. This album did feel a bit, galactic. It did feel a bit futuristic. It did feel a bit alien. Whereas her Hot Pink album felt a bit warmer, a bit summery, a bit more groovy. And I just like how she's able to adjust herself for different concepts and adjust herself successfully. Planet Her has many bops in there. It's a very cohesive and very well constructed album. You do not feel like it's really lacking in any bit of it. You are enjoying it from top to bottom.
You just wanna lap this. You just wanna pop up on these stands like you the Batman. I can remember I want you and it's just nerves. It's just making me think about someone.
Another album in my top 20 albums of 2021 is Slime Language 2. Now, Slime Language 2 by Young Stoner Life, I don't know how to explain it. It is an album that could have given me more, but it's still in my top 20. I still enjoyed it. I still had so many bops from it. I still love the energy it had. I still love the merging of all the different artists in Young Stoner Life and how they all represented and showed what they had to bring to the table. I like the big collaboration. I like this kind of family feature project. I like it. And because of that, it had to make my top 20, as well as the good songs that it did give me. But it is an album that, it kind of eased in its importance throughout the year. And I'm saying this for this album, but in general, I feel like music in 2021 did this, where it was music for the now, and there wasn't that much long-term traction. Like, and in the initial instance of it dropping, music was really hot, music was really powerful, music was really impactful. But then over time, a lot of music, you just didn't forget. It's not that you forgot about it, but it just didn't stick as much as other music has done in previous years. And this is not just to say for slam language too, it's to say for a lot of things dropped this year. Only a few albums released and stuck. It just felt different, the way that I was digesting music. I was digesting things a lot in the instance, and anticipating things a lot in the first instance, and then a couple months down the line I was thinking, oh damn, I almost didn't remember that dropped this year. Not to say that that project was bad, but just to say that the longevity of projects this year didn't feel the same. And I don't know whether that's because of the culture this year and how society was functioning this year, or whether there's something going around in the way music was released this year. Because I've heard this from other music enthusiasts, I'm not the only one that felt the same way. Going back to slam language too, I'm loving the energy of it. I'm loving the really good anthems that we got from here that were very great for parties, for functions, playful music. It's Young Thug, it's Gunn. I really do like slam languages because of having Gunna, having Young Thug, having a lot of the other members of Young Stoner Life coming together and giving us some slick, quick rap.
Do this shit with no pressure. Run up the backers and put up the extra. You cannot step up the steppers. I make a move and make a scene. I put the gun on repeat. Only I'm married to dreams.
Another album that made my top 20 of 2021 is Joy Crookes' Skin. Now, Skin is, again, a bit like slam language, an album that you could say could have given you a bit more, but doesn't make it any less enjoyable. You just were left at the end thinking, damn, maybe something could have gone and something else could have come instead, just to make the album a bit more consolidated. Skin, I listened to it and I did find myself picking a few tracks out of a lot of tracks that I really wanted to digest. Maybe the album could have been smaller and a bit more concise so that I felt like I was listening to an album rather than picking out of it. But saying that, I picked a good significant amount out of Skin, so I enjoyed it enough for it to make my top 20 albums of 2021. Joy Crookes has an amazing nostalgic voice, very soulful, very rich, very earthy, and she takes it to different elements of production here in Skin. I love how she highlights her roots, highlights her ethnicity, highlights her nationality, and the importance of it, all therefore just coming into circle of the concept of skin. 19th Floor, such a cinematic, entrancing second track. This concept of being a Londoner and the hustle and the struggle and the grey skies and the River Thames and 19th floor blocks is just great. It's really a mesmerizing second track in the album, and it hooks you in and lets you know of the energy to come. It's definitely my favorite track of the album. But yeah, Joy Crookes' Skin was a great one. Moving on now to The Off Season by J. Cole, which is another album that made my top 20 of 2021. Now, this is another one, a bit like Slime Language, that the longevity just wasn't there. And it's a bit annoying to say because I love J. Cole. I'm a big fan of J. Cole. And I listen to him relentlessly. But this album, I listened to it a lot, maybe the first 2 months of it dropping, and then I didn't. And that's all I can say. I listened to it a lot in the first 2 months of it dropping, and then I didn't. Then I listened to it less. Then the impact of it, the initial wave of energy and enjoyment of it died a bit. And I had to find it again. Now, that is something that happened a lot with a few other stuff this year, but I wasn't expecting it to happen to J. Cole's because of how much I did enjoy it at the beginning, because I am a big fan. But it did, if I'm being honest. And I don't know whether that's because originally, even though when I did enjoy it, I was a little bit like underwhelmed, because I was thinking, okay, maybe this is just giving me a little bit because we're waiting for the fall off, which is the main, nitty gritty. So maybe because of my slight underwhelmment when I initially heard it, led to me only digesting it so much and in one instance and then leaving it and ditching it for some time. But I did do that with this album. But saying that, it does give me some great, amazing tracks. I mean, I love the 95 South intro. I love My Life, Applying Pressure and Punching the Clock, Pride is the Devil, Let Go of My Hand, The Climb Back, Close. Close is actually the best song on that album. I don't know why no one really gets it like that, but Close is amazing. The way he flows on that track continuously with just one sound is just amazing. Yeah, I just have to admit what J. Cole's album, how it happened to me, how I was digesting it and then getting to it again. But saying that, it does make my top 20, and it will be somewhere near the top if I were to rank it. It wouldn't be top 5, but it would be maybe top 10. It solely makes this top 20 list though because it's a revival of J. Cole. It's an artist creative revival, and you have to respect that. You have to understand someone's resurging again, rising from the ashes again, you know, giving you their best shot, in contrast to things that they've given you prior. So I love that for him. I love that he had a creative revival and came with some new energy, because you can feel it in this album.
1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. I stare at my dreams as they approach. Gotta be patient and trust in God, he the coach.
Another album to make my top 20 of 2021 is Donda by Kanye West. Mr. West himself, who just bought a house opposite Kim. Like that ain't creepy. I know this Mr. West is trying to get his family back, and good on him. Fight for what you love, fight for your family. It's all good things. It's all great things. It's all things that we should be fighting for and, you know, trying to maintain and keep. But the house across on the other side of the street, really? Yay? Really? That's giving Joe Goldberg. Moving on. I'm not going to comment too much on that. I'm going to comment on Donda, which is definitely one of the most climactic albums of the year. Definitely one of the most amazing drops of the year. I mean, it was a surprise even when it dropped, and then when you're listening to it, you're like, what the heck? Donda is the one musical experience that I can vouch for is in my top, 5 musical experiences in terms of how I listened to it and how it hit me the first time. I can remember distinctly how it felt to digest it the first time. That's how you know it's an amazing album. Donda is great. It brought an evolutionized, you know, Christian side of Kanye to his hip-hop roots. And it's a complete blend, a complete merge that even if you weren't Christian, you'd be so comfortable digesting this music. It's amazing what he was able to do, how he was able to come back with his energy and his flows that, you know, some might have questioned had disappeared or gone or eroded, and bring a crap ton of features there to make the music even greater. The right features at the right time, doing the right things, is like the Kanye effect. When you're on a track that he's produced and he selected you for it, you just fit in perfectly and you just do what he needs you to do. You know, a lot of features feature on tracks and they don't do what needs to be done, but every feature on this album performed. It's very hard to have an album that does that. Donda here is definitely one of the top for me, top 5 if not number 1. That is one that I feel like I could rate. I feel like I could give that my top spot. Everything else I'm really not sure where it settles, but Donda could be my top spot just because features doing the right thing, production doing amazing things, Christianity and hip hop being blended together in such a seamless way you wouldn't even realize. Different elements of hip-hop in there, different skills performed by Kanye. Ugh, I could go on.
Ways be night. Sir, yes, I do work.
Another album making my top 20 of 2021 is Sometimes I Might Be an Introvert by Little Simz. Now, this album, definitely in my top. I'm not rating it, I'm not giving it a number where it'd be in this list, but it's in the top, probably top 5. It's an amazing album. It is the one album of this year, because I wouldn't even say Donda felt that cinematic. It felt a bit cinematic, it did, but Little Simz's album, whoever produced it, not even whoever produced it, I know who produced it, but I've just forgotten the name right now, but the producers, you put me into a journey that I cannot explain. I can't explain it, but it was an amazing journey. I really felt like I was in some cinematic experience. The production was so tight in this album. And then on top of it, Little Simz was tighter. She was tighter. She was tight. I just love the journey we go on with Little Simz here, through emotional woes, identity woes, family woes, you know, just the journey of self-improvement, self-acknowledgement, a real creative outburst of just little Simz. Just the start of this. Where am I?
Just coincide with what I advise. The people looking up to me doing everything right. Became something that we embraced, and we take that same anger and turn it into someone else's pain. Nothing's changed here.
Begin. I see you, standing ovation, little Q part 2, I love you, I hate you, woman, introvert, protect my energy, Rolling Stone, the garden interlude. I just love everything. The interludes, the tracks, everything. Little Simz, Sometimes I Might Be an Introvert, deserves all the hype, all the recognition. Another album to make my top 20 2021 is Hitler's Hermes 8, particularly part B, but you know, altogether it was a great thing. Hitler's Hermes 8, B-side, definitely an amazing underground hip-hop drop, because we got Westside. And that's what I mentioned in my reaction, and I'm gonna say it again. This album, we got a lot of Westside, and it felt great to get a lot of him. Of course there was features there, of course there was amazing production there, but it didn't distract from him, it didn't take away from him, it didn't feel like, oh, we didn't really get much of Westside here. We got so much of him. Really captivating to listen to. Again, he's picking the right production. Again, he's flowing in unique ways over it. You can't not love Westside.
I still be the illest nigga alive. I be to the postcards, just like your trunks on in the winter. Hold your head up more time, cause time keep going. Fly sneaker full time,
and you know it. Another good drop from 2021 that I loved here was Nas's King's Disease. Now, I know that you guys were getting onto my head about reacting to King's Disease 2, react to it, Ebony, and I just never did. And I have to sincerely apologize for that, because I just never found the time to react to that. But I did listen to it. I did love it. I did absorb it. I did digest it. It is a great album. Nas came back on a new thing for this album. Definitely different to King's Disease 1, with a lot more energy and a lot more flair. Flair is the key word for King's Disease 2. It's like King's Disease 2, he's letting us know he's already been here, done this, shown us his lyrical prowess, shown us his skill. But he'll do it again for us one time. The flair was amazing in this album. I loved it. Definitely showing some King flair.
Project Halls, 40 side where niggas seen it all. I can send niggas the ropes, integrity matters the most. I get a hood hope. Yeah.
And the Nas reaction is coming up to his other LP he dropped just recently, which I believe is called Magic. That is coming up. I let you guys down with King's Disease 2, but that is coming up. Another drop from 2021 that made my top 20 was A Gangsta's Pain by Moneybagg Yo. Now, I love Moneybagg Yo. I have a secret love for him. I feel like he's got a debonair that's really addictive, you know. I like his tone. I like the way he flows. It can be, you know, quite just, I don't know, gripping sometimes, and I just find myself listening to him quite a lot. And in A Gangsta's Pain, he really lets it rip. I feel like Moneybagg Yo in A Gangsta's Pain does or shows us what he does best at the highest level of, you know, execution. He really executed his style. If you didn't know who Moneybagg was and you had no idea what type of music he made, A Gangsta's Pain would be a great place to start, because he's doing what he does best. And if you listen to this and you don't like him here, then you really won't like him at all. This is him. This is A Gangsta's Pain.
Fuck it, I'm crossing the line today. The hate be so real, the love be fake. Be bumping their gums and bumping my tape. Don't realize and get it yourself. Might got the same shoes, but you ain't gon' step. The shit that you just put out, you could've kept.
Another album that I absolutely love and had so much longevity for me is The House is Burning by Asaya Rashad. So this album made my top 20 of 2021. Definitely near the top end of my ratings. Why? Because it is sweet. There's a sweetness to it, an underlining sweetness to it that makes everything smooth and everything flow into itself. It feels like an album. It feels comprehensive. It feels so complete. And Asaya Rashad, I love the features he brought. Again, like a bit like Donda, every feature he brought did something here, did it well. Didn't feel like they were subtracting. They were always adding every time, doing what needed to be done. He had great features. He had great production. He had great cohesiveness and creative sense. This album, for me, really made me love Asaya Rashad. Asaya Rashad's The House is Burning, great stuff. Favorite tracks from there would be What You Said, Score, True Story, Hey Mister, all Herb. Of course, Headshots, you know, a few of my favorites there. R.I.P. Young, very good. Another album to make my top 20 of 2021 is Vince Staples. Didn't react to this as well, even though it was requested a bit. Just didn't find the time. Again, I deeply apologize, but I did listen to it in my own free time. And you know what? I can't get reactions out to every drop that is fire. You know what I mean? I could get reactions out to some fire drops, but other fire drops, sometimes I just gotta digest them on my own. I mean, that's the sweetness of music. I love to digest it with others, but sometimes you do like to digest it on your own. Vince Staples was great. I'll let you know that when I first listened to it, it was a great album and it did have longevity for me. I had never really listened to Vince Staples a lot before until I got to this album. And I feel like it was a great introduction for me. And he is similar to Asaya Rashad in terms of the vibiness of the rapping. The rapping is smooth, the rapping is calm, cool, collected. It's like, I like to call it cucumber rap, where they can get aggressive sometimes, but ultimately it's cool, like a cucumber. I don't know if this is gonna stick, I'm just saying this, but yeah, that's the main vibe I got from him. And the album really displayed this and showed this, and it's just great, easy rap, easy on your ears, very aesthetically pleasing rap. It's not rap that's gonna make you uncomfortable. It's not grisly underground rap. It's not rap that has really grotesque contents. It's rap that is cool, as easy as the summer's breeze, you know? Vince Staples is great. I love the coolness of it. Again, it's kind of refreshing in that sense, in contrast to the other rap I listen to a lot of the time. This was refreshing, so it was definitely something to make my top 20 of 2021.
Niggas ain't built like that in person, city burning. Left some enemies on that curb.
Another album that made my top 20 of 2021 is Yokohama by MADEINTYO and UNOTHEACTIVIST. Now, this was an album that literally just dropped this month, and I wasn't sure whether I'd put it in my top 20, but the way I'm enjoying it, yeah, the way I'm enjoying it, I'm enjoying it instantly. And because of that, I do feel like it has some credit and some weight in being in this list, even though it was a late entry. I just love the collab between these two artists. It was a lot of sense, a lot of symmetry. To see them come together was just really amazing. It made sense, and so the album made sense. And I love the concept of the album. I love how these two kind of quirky, different, alternative kind of trap guys who, you know, kind of hooked people in with the weird way that they rapped, came together and just did it for a whole album. When they did it for a whole album, it was fun to listen to. Music doesn't always have to be like, oh yeah, the skill, the lyrics, oh yeah, the bars, oh yeah, with the double entendres and la la da da da. It doesn't have to always be that. Sometimes it can just be fun. Another good album that made my top 20 of 2021 is Still Over It by Summer Walker. Now, Still Over It, a lot of people were hating on it, surprisingly. After I digested it and listened to it and enjoyed it, a lot of people were like, ah, this ain't like Over It, and this ain't like la di da da. And I can't lie to you, even though I've got the Over It vinyl up there, Still Over It to me is better. Over It had a lot of damn auto-tune. And coming from someone who's been a fan of Walker since I heard her on the last day of summer, which was a very refreshing, very pure, laid-back album where she's relying a lot more on her voice, and that's when I became a fan of her. I was a little bit disgruntled when I heard Over It because of how much heavy auto-tune was on it. I like how Still Over It was a bit less. And I feel because it was less and because we got more of just raw Summer, I feel like it's better. I don't believe that someone who is such a great vocalist should then be slapping on a whole ton of auto-tune. I don't believe that at all. It's like, it's not necessary. So Over It, I do love it. It does have some great bops in there. But Still Over It for me is better. We got more raw Summer. We got Summer calling people out. We've got Summer being a bit more authentic, I'd say, and allowing her natural voice to shine a bit more. I like this album for that. And it's in my top 20 just because it did that, and also because of all the bops it gave us. I can safely say I'm listening to around 80% of Still Over It. That's a very good percentage of the album I'm listening to. That means a lot of it did a good thing. It has to make my top 20. It was a very good R&B drop.
Don't make it, darling, or you running out of time, huh? Like time ain't even real, you really need to chill. God help me, I think I'm insane.
Another album to make my top 20 of 2021 is Call Me If You Get Lost by Tyler, the Creator. Call Me If You Get Lost was Tyler returning to his really rap aggressive roots, you know, after doing such a successful, strong concept album such as Igor that was, you know, futuristic and just out there and colourful. He's gone back to some darker rap aggressive roots, and I like it. He's reminding us that how he entered this thing was through doing things like Goblin and Wolf. He wasn't, you know, just always a flower boy. He wasn't just always, you know, colourful and, you know, eccentric. He did have a darker side, a more aggressive side, and Call Me If You Get Lost shows us that. It's a return to that. I feel like there was a lot of return to the original this year. I'm just going to phrase that as that. Return to the original in terms of hip-hop. There was a lot of that. Many artists did that. And I love this year for that. Tyler did it with Call Me If You Get Lost, and he did it successfully. Again, another album that had a great ton of features that did a good thing. For example, Young Boy Never Broke Again. One of my favourite tracks of this year has him as a feature on it. I don't even listen to him that much. But he did a great thing here, and it was such a well-placed feature. And even though we do get a bit more of a grizzly Tyler here, he does also put a bit of elements of Flower Boy in there, a bit of elements of eccentric, colourful Tyler. It's a very great album, a return to the roots of sorts, showing his creative complexity. It's a great thing.
Oh, you look malnourished.
Another one of my favourite drops 2021 is Pray for Haiti by Mach, Hommy. A lot of pressure to react to this one, and I did. Pray for Haiti was an amazing album. I loved it because of its cultural complexity. There was the cultural delivery there from Mach Hommy a lot of the time, be it in the production or be it in his lyricism and his flows and his pronunciation and delivery. But I love how there was a lot of just showing love to where he's from and how that was kind of intertwined into the general creation of the album. I feel like it made it a very cool concept album, made it very just a cool album, because it was like, wow, this is hip hop, this is underground, but we got some island roots in here. We got some other sounds in there, which kind of highlighted and made the hip hop sounds and the hip hop aura of the album even better. In this album, there was some smooth melodic kind of hip hop here as well, like Stellar Ray Theory. There was some more tracks as well, but Stellar Ray Theory sticks out, where it's smooth and dark and grizzly, not just grizzly and abrasive, but smooth. I love that. I love when underground hip hop can be abrasive but smooth.
But some days you know where to be found. Know what I'm talking about? Made it through the fires, it was some drought.
Another album to make my top 20 of 2021 was Jazmine Sullivan's Heaux. I feel like I always Heaux. It is called that. I like this album a lot. Another favorite R&B drop. You have Jazmine Sullivan on the comeback, and wow, the powerful richness of her voice definitely was not forgotten. She made sure she was remembered this year with this drop. We've got amazing tracks on there that really are showing the R&B richness of Jazmine Sullivan's voice. I just love this R&B drop. Definitely one of my favorite alongside Summer Walker's Still Over It. The features of Ari Lennox, these two rich, beautiful voices coming together. You can't not love this album. It's rich, it's smooth, it's R&B. And if you love R&B, this should have made your top 20. Another album that made my top 20 of 2021 was actually a very early release, but it's Fredo's Money Can't Buy Happiness. Now, Fredo dropped 2 albums this year. Money Can't Buy Happiness was definitely the most successful one. To me, it was the most comprehensive one, the one that sounded complete. His other album, Independence Day, didn't feel that way for me at all. Money Can't Buy Happiness was definitely Fredo displaying some of his best skills. And I love it for that. You know, I have to appreciate my UK hip-hop, my UK rap. And when Fredo gives you tracks like Spaghetti, Back to Basics, and Biggest Mistake, you've got to give him a little bit of an applause. It's a great thing he does there. I like how we also have him doing a track with Pop Smoke and Young Adz. Burn on Deck was a very great party anthem. Successful features on it as well. But Fredo's Money Can't Buy Happiness, I feel like just shows you that this is Fredo. Again, it's a very successful album in highlighting to you what the artist does. You can tell that, okay, Fredo is a guy who's aggressive, has got woes from the street, and he tries to relay this with his aggressive, cutthroat tone, okay? That's essentially who Fredo is. That's what he does on this album, and he does it very well. He has some cool one-liners, he has some great instrumentals, but all in all, Fredo is being aggressive and abrasive and cutthroat here, and that's just the artist he is, and he does it well.
No, you never feel bad as spaghetti. My neck, my wrist, spaghetti. She won't let you fuck, but she'll let me. Out around town, I'm Freddy. Cooking a brick for brekkie.
Yeah, Spaghetti by Fredo is great stuff, man. That's probably my favorite track off the album. But Money Can't Buy Happiness, great album, great UK rap album. I had to include it in my top 20. But again, a bit like other albums, it didn't have a lot of longevity for me. Almost forgot it dropped this year. But I did enjoy a lot of songs from it, which is what kind of maintained it in my listening ear and in my what I'm listening to. Then lastly, this last album, not to put it last for any reason, just because it's what I've got last on my list, is Ego Kills by Avelino, another UK drop. And I feel like it was very under the radar. It was a very cool album. Avelino is one of the top UK lyricists. He's got great lyrical skill. He's so sick at his flows, you know. It's annoying how he's still a bit under the radar, or still on the come up, even though he's been here for so long. But Ego Kills really shows this, really is a great album in terms of how the flair of Avelino, the skills he's displaying lyrically, the fun he's having. I like this album. This album was great. It was a good UK drop. The issue with it though is that Avelino has a little bit of a identity issue. And I'm not saying that he doesn't know himself. I'm saying in terms of how he relays himself to listeners. I know Avelino is great. I know he's a lyricist. I know that he's, you know, but I still can't place his character in the whole rap scene. And maybe that's because he hasn't really projected it enough. He's always shown his skill and what he can do. And he's probably thought that that will be enough for people to know who he is. But maybe it isn't. Maybe we need a more self-defining drop from you. Maybe we need you to open it up a little bit more. And that's kind of what I would want a little bit more from Ego Kills. Instead of just the lyrical skill, who are you really? So I do like Avelino's drop a lot, but it probably wouldn't be near the top because of this. Saying that though, it's annoying how his skill is slept on. I'm not sleeping on it, I'm wide awake.
Man's looking like 100K. No, we ain't nothing like them, man. Unlike them, man's custom made. Would've got a custom plate on a brand new Mach, but that's fucking big.
My list, that is my top 20, I believe. Let me double check.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Some notable mentions, some close contenders is Be Right Back by Georgia Smith, Ready Is Always Too Late by Sinead Harnett, Erika DeCasia's sensational album, a really great album. She is an artist that people need to wake up and listen to. Lord Solar Power, it did something but it didn't do enough, didn't make my top 20. I love Lord, loved the Solar Power as the, you know, the single of the album, and loved many songs from the album, but some of it felt a lot like filler or just didn't feel very cohesive, so didn't quite make it to the top. But it is a notable mention because it did a good thing. I'm pretty sure there's some other notable mentions, some other close contenders that were close to making my top 20 but didn't quite. For instance, CLB. CLB didn't make my top 20 and I'm a massive Drake fan. That should be saying something. That's all really. That is my top 20 of 2021. I don't want to make this video too long. Tell me what yours are, what your top albums of the year are, what your top 20 albums of the year are. Leave a comment down below. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button down below and leave a comment down below of your thoughts. I'll see you guys all next time.